I've seen The Christmas Carol performed live in theater. I have watched it in movie form several different times. I've heard the story over the years, but I have never, until this moment, actually read the book. I won't waste your time. I'll tell you right now, I loved it. I kind of struggled what I was going to say for this video and what I wanted it to be, because at first I thought I would maybe compare the book to the movie, and then I just thought maybe I would do a review of the book, but then I felt really silly reviewing a story and a book that many of you have probably read and a story that almost all of us are very familiar with. When I initially picked up A Christmas Carol, I picked it up because I wanted to read a classic. I wanted something that was tried and true. I was trying to do a reset of what I'd been reading throughout the year. I wanted something I was familiar with, but hadn't necessarily read. And it's December, so I figured A Christmas Carol kind of fit everything. It was festive, it was perfect. And it was. And here's why I think you should read it too. First reason being, you are forced to slow down. I mean, we start decorating for Christmas. We start talking about Christmas. Stores start putting out things for Christmas before Halloween is even over. I went into Target this year to look for something for Halloween the week before, and all of the Halloween stuff was gone, and it was all Christmas. So we start Christmas so early. It's like right when that door closes for the last trick-or-treater, we already have all of these things we need to do. Who do we need to buy presents for? What do we need to decorate? What events are we doing? When are we sending out the cards? It's just a never-ending to-do list that starts earlier and earlier every single year. And again, don't get me wrong, I love Christmas. I love celebrating Christmas, but it can feel just like this never-ending to-do list of things that need to get done, not a season where you're supposed to be celebrating. And the reason I think you should read A Christmas Carol and not just any Christmas book is because A Christmas Carol is not a cheesy holiday rom-com. Regardless of how fast you read, you have to put some thought into this. This is not a book that you're going to skim. You have to slow down, you have to focus. And I think spending a week, honestly a little over a week, reading the book, and again, it's short. This is definitely a book that if you sat down and stretched it out, you could read it in one day. You could, it's not long. But having that mentality of you're going to read it slowly, reading a book in a style that maybe you don't typically read, it really does force you to slow down, enjoy the moment, and just kind of enjoy what is all around you. Spending the time reading this book, just like snuggled up in bed at night, reading it slowly, just felt like an extra Christmas treat, and it wasn't just something else that I had to do in order to make this a successful season. And I think on top of that, because the book was set a long time ago, it's not about who's getting this for Christmas and what new gadget are we getting. It really is simple. It's a simple story. And so I think that simplicity and that slowness of it, it just forces you to slow down. And I just think that's one of the reasons you should definitely read it every season. I know I am going to now. And the second reason I think you should read this, because we all have a little Scrooge in us. I know what you're thinking. No, not me. I don't have any Scrooge in me. My tree's been up since October. I've been singing Christmas carols. I already made all my Christmas cookies. I am not Scrooge. I love Christmas. But I'm willing to reckon that you do love Christmas, but you still have a little bit of Scrooge in you, just not in the way that you think you do. You see, Ebenezer Scrooge is most known for his bah humbug and his hatred of Christmas, his hatred of all things merry during the season time, and for being really cheap. But there is more to him than that. If you look at Scrooge and really look at him, he's a creature of habit. He's had the same job, done the same routine, had the same house, saving the same money, completing the same tasks. He's just going over every single day. He's just going through the motions of life. Sound familiar? What happens after Christmas? Let me tell you what happens. We throw away the wrapping paper, we take down the decorations, we clean the entire house, we set our New Year's goals, we drop our New Year's goals, we get our Valentine's Day cards out, and we get ready for the next holiday or the next thing or whatever it is, and we're just going and going and going and going and going. We might be celebrating cheerfully, obviously unlike Scrooge, but we're still treating everything like a task. What is the to-do list for each season? I mean, every productivity thing I've ever looked at is like, look at the season. What things do you need to get done this season? But why are we looking at it as things that we need to get done? And why aren't we looking at it as things we should be enjoying with those around us? I think that we should all strive to be like end of the book Scrooge. Found that everything could yield him pleasure. Every little thing was going to make him happy. And yes, it was because it was Christmas and he just went through this whole thing with ghosts and he found out he's not going to die alone. But again, every little thing brings him joy that day. And I think that's how we should be looking at this season. The little things bring us joy, not just the big things, not just the extravagant things, but the little things like sipping hot chocolate when it's cold. Like those kinds of things should bring us joy this season. And I think that's what we forget every year. And I know I'm not the first person to say this, but I think reading A Christmas Carol each year is a good place to center yourself, and it's a good place to remind you of all of that. If you do watch A Christmas Carol instead of reading it, might I recommend watching one that is as close to the book as possible? Because like all things, we tend to add a lot of bells and whistles to it as the years pass. And so the version that I watched was the one with Patrick Stewart. I think it's in 1999. I found it to be so close to the book. I'm pretty sure it was a made-for-TV movie. And it was fantastic because it was so close to the book and that simplicity of it. There were no bells and whistles. You could tell it was obviously made over 25 years ago. And it was just perfect. I think if you're going to watch it, you need to make sure you're watching one that's like as close to the book and that has that simplicity of it, not one with all of the bells and whistles, because that defeats the purpose. At the end of the day, I hope you find something to help you slow down this holiday season, and secretly, I hope it's a book.